Hello and welcome to on the campus of Cal Poly Pomona. Scalinos Field is where we are for the second game of 4 between the High Desert Heat and Inland Valley Buccaneers. My name is Dave Soberai. I'm on the play-by-play for all the home games this season for both the Buccaneers and Pirates. So glad you could join us here for another great day of baseball, as we are supposed to get started at 5 o'clock, but at this moment I don't see any umpires around, so we'll just kind of update you on that. So we might have a little bit of a late start because of that. But we will give you the starting lineups nonetheless here, as we should be about 2 minutes from opening pitch, as the High Desert Heat's manager Kelly, is walking around looking a little bit restless. And meanwhile, the Inland Valley Buccaneers, they are all sitting inside the shade of their first base dugout. So here is the starting lineup for both teams, as we still have a couple guys loosening up and warming up in right field. Over there is Rudy Cesares, the second baseman, getting his last stretches in and last jogs in, as Anthony Seminaris also comes into the first base dugout. Here will be the starting lineup for both teams, and we'll give you the starting defensive alignments for the Inland Valley Buccaneers, because obviously they will be in the defense first, and the starting lineup for the Heat. Here is the lineup for the Heat. It's Seth Smith, who led off yesterday. Ronnie Leon's batting second at second again. Manny Chavez is batting third at third. Sergio Lujan's in the cleanup spot. Mitchell Boomin batting fifth. He is the shortstop. Cody Calvert, the catcher, batting sixth. Johnny Lanter, the left fielder, batting seventh. In right field, Anthony Aguila is batting eighth. And last but not least, Josh Garcia, the pitcher, will be batting ninth. Meanwhile, this is the defensive alignment for the Inland Valley Buccaneers. As we mentioned, it's 4:59. The game is supposed to start at 5, but I don't see any umpires in sight, as we have a little bit of delay here. We'll give you the starting lineup for the Inland Valley Buccaneers right now. The defensive alignment is Escobar, Charles Escobar in left field, Diego Cortez in center field, Rubito is in right field, Bryce Brooks is at third base, the hot corner. At shortstop is Anthony Seminaris, Rudy Cesares at second, Jack Spahn at first, and Michael Ortega behind the dish, as we are working our way towards opening pitch at 5 o'clock. Here from Cal Poly Pomona, Scalinos Field, it will be tough if there is no umpire. And hello and welcome to Cal Poly Pomona, Scalinos Field, for an SCCBL matchup between the High Desert Heat and Inland Valley Buccaneers. This is game 2 of a 4-game series between the two teams. Of course, the two teams will meet again later in the season over in Victorville at Victor Valley College. Yesterday was game 1 that the High Desert Heat won 5-4 over the Buccaneers. If you remember, the High Desert Heat scored 5 runs in the third inning, and that was enough. They held on for the rest of the game. Although the Buccaneers came back, they were down 5-1, scored a couple innings in the fourth, one in the fifth, and made it 5-4, had runners in scoring position in the 7th and 9th innings, but just couldn't get that run to come home. Now, if you're interested in wondering why the game started late, it was because we had no umpires at 5 o'clock. We did come on air at 5 to tell you that, and we have been updating on Twitter, so we hope that there is no confusion over that, as we are just about set for opening pitch about 50 minutes late, as it is 5:47 right now, and Jason De La Pena is on the mound. He will warm up for the Inland Valley Buccaneers. Speaking of Jason De La Pena, it's kind of tough for the Buccaneers because he was supposed to be the starter that went about 5 or 6 innings today, and he actually has a class later on tonight, so now he's only going to be able to pitch about 3 innings. So that's really tough luck for the Buccaneers. We will get you the starting lineups because I obviously don't expect you to remember them from 50 minutes ago. So let's give you the starting lineups right now. We'll start with the High Desert Heat's lineup. Here is what it looks like. Leading off is Sean Smith, in center field. Batting second is Ronnie Leon in second base. Manny Chavez is batting third at third. The cleanup spot is Sergio Lujan, batting fifth at short. Mitchell Boomin, batting sixth, the catcher Cody Calvert. Batting seventh, the left fielder Johnny Lanter. Batting eighth, Anthony Aguila, the right fielder. And last but not least, pitching and hitting is Josh Garcia in that 9 spot. Here is the defensive alignment for the Inland Valley Buccaneers. From left to right in the outfield, we have Charles Escobar, Diego Cortez, and Anthony Rubito. In the infield, we have Bryce Brooks, Anthony Seminaris, Rudy Cesares, Jack Spahn, and behind the dish, Michael Ortega. And we are just about set for the first pitch at 5:48. So a 48-minute delay. First pitch swung on and grounded over to the shortstop, Seminaris. He fields cleanly, fires across the diamond for the first out here in the top of the first inning. So just underway here from Cal Poly Pomona. Scalinos Field, the home of 3 national championship teams for Cal Poly. As we mentioned, this is the second game of 4 between these two teams. Bucs wearing their customary white cutoff shirts, white pants, and red undershirts today, actually. Normally they have black undershirts, as this one is low for ball 1 to Ronnie Leon. So the first play was a 6-3 put out as Sean Smith grounded out on the first pitch of the game, which we would like, obviously, to speed this game up as much as we can. We have never really talked about this before, as this one swung on and missed by Leon. But there are no lights here at Cal Poly Pomona, so we're going to have to get 9 innings in very quickly, or we may have to finish this in shorter than 9 innings. Here's the pitch from De La Pena, the southpaw. Swung on and missed for strike 2, and it's 1-2. Jason De La Pena, 5'11", 175 pounds. Plays for Cal State San Bernardino, where he'll be a redshirt freshman next year. Working out of the windup, towing the rubber from the left side, fires high and in for ball 2, and it's 2-2. Once again, a very hot day in Pomona on the campus of Cal Poly. Once again, not very much wind to speak of, as the trees out in the outfield look pretty stiff, as this one is swung on and fouled off the left shin of Ronnie Leon. Ronnie Leon, in his second season with the High Desert Heat, last season was an SCCBL All-Star. So a very talented player. Actually, he's a switch hitter because he hit left-handed yesterday against the right-handed pitcher. And this one is swung on and fouled. Will it be playable? The first baseman, Spahn, makes a nice basket catch a foot away from the net, and that will be the second out recorded here in the top of the first inning. So another put out right there for the first baseman, Spahn, as Manny Chavez comes up to the plate. Manny Chavez batting third and also playing third here for the High Desert Heat, as they have their first 2 hitters out here. This one is chopped to the left side. Charging is Bryce Brooks, the third baseman, and firing across the diamond. Nice play by Brooks, cutting it off in the hole to make that throw over to first base and record the final out here in the top of the first inning. And at the end of 1/2 inning of play, it remains scoreless from Cal Poly Pomona. And welcome back to Scalinos Field for the bottom of the first inning. No score yet, but we're still just underway. Dave Sobera on the play-by-play. So glad you joined us on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Let's get you the starting lineup and defensive arrangements now for the Heat and Bucs, respectively. Leading off in center field is Diego Cortez. Batting second, Rudy Cesares at second base. Batting third, Bryce Brooks. The cleanup hitter will be Michael Ortega. Batting fifth, Anthony Ribito. Batting sixth, the designated hitter, Tanner Thibodeau. Batting seventh, Jack Spahn at first. Batting eighth, number 8, Charles Escobar. And last but not least, Anthony Seminaris is batting ninth. Here comes the first pitch from Josh Garcia. The right-handed hurler fires in there for strike 1. 0-1 the count. Josh Garcia, 5'11", 170. Plays for Arizona Christian. Also played for San Bernardino Valley College, as this one is laid down foul by Diego Cortez. So Cortez trying to bunt for a hit there against Garcia, trying to catch the defense unaware. But the third baseman is playing on the infield grass. That is Chavez. Here's the pitch from Josh Garcia, and this one misses outside for a ball. Well, if you're just joining us, of course, we started 45 minutes late. Well, 48 minutes late to be exact, because we did not have umpires here at 5. As this one misses outside as well, and it's 2-2. It was the first ever delay I believe we had in the SCCBL in my 3 years of covering it. This one swung on and lined into center field for a base hit. So the leadoff man on board here for the Buccaneers, as they come in 0-5, 0-1 in league play, but lost a heartbreaker yesterday to the Heat, really, if you consider the fact that all 5 runs were scored after an error in that third inning, so they were all unearned, and they were all scored with 2 outs. So very tough way to lose for the Buccaneers as the right-handed hitter Rudy Cesar steps up for the first time of the day. This one is thrown to the plate, and this is a towering fly ball to shallow right field. Second baseman has an angle, makes a nice basket catch by Ronnie Leon for the first out here in the inning. So Ronnie Leon showing why, among other reasons, he was chosen as an SCCBL All-Star last year, covering a lot of ground and showing some good speed. As Bryce Brooks steps up to the plate. Bryce Brooks, the third baseman, one of two players on the Buccaneers team who played with the Pirates last year and made the switch over to the white and red this season. Here's the pitch. The runner goes. This one's swung and fouled down the right field line, and it's 0-1. Bryce Brooks has some pretty good bloodlines. He is the nephew of Mark Kotze, former MLB player. Got to talk to him a little bit before the game, and he said that he's been able to give him a lot of advice throughout his career, just basically on hitting and his approach to hitting. Helped him out in between his freshman and his sophomore year as he struggled a little bit, he said, and then he got it back together his sophomore season at Rio Hondo as we have a pickoff throw over to first base. And that sophomore season at Rio Hondo, he had a very good season, also got a gold glove in the field, and that allowed him to get a scholarship offer from Avila University. This one swung and fouled down the right field line once again, and now it's his two-strike count to Brooks, so he's going to have to protect the plate. Avila University is in Missouri, so he's excited to go there. Just get back to playing baseball. Here's the 0-2 pitch from Josh Garcia, working out of the stretch, taking some time, and now firing a fastball, swung on and missed for strike 3, and that'll be the second out of the inning. So down goes Brooks as the cleanup hitter Michael Ortega steps up to the plate. Ortega, the catcher. Don't see too many catchers batting cleanup at pretty much any of the top levels in the collegiate level or professional level anymore. Gone are the days really of the power hitting catcher. Now it's more about being that backstop behind home plate and that solid game caller. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball in there for strike 1, 0-1 the count. Michael Ortega, 6'0", 185 pounds, from College of Southern Idaho. Here's the pitch. The runner's off, swung and missed. The throw down to second base, not in time. And that will be a stolen bag for Diego Cortez. So Cortez doing exactly what you want of your leadoff hitter, getting on base first of all with a single, and then stealing second and putting yourself in scoring position. Of course, as we mentioned, there are no lights here at Cal Poly Pomona, so the 5:45 start is going to make it very difficult, very challenging to get a full 9 in, but we'll see if we can do it. This one is foul tipped by Ortega. So now Ortega is going to have to protect with 2 strikes here, as Anthony Rabito is on deck, the right fielder, rocking those nice stirrups. Always like mentioning when guys have stirrups because it seems like it's uncommon nowadays, as the home plate umpire will hand the ball over to the pitcher, Garcia. It's a lot different lineup here for the High Desert Heat today than it was yesterday. Pretty much the leadoff and number 2 hitter and then the cleanup hitter are the same, but after that, pretty much all different players for the Heat today. Garcia comes set, checks the runner at second, fires home, swung on and missed, strike 3. And that'll be the third out, as Michael Ortega was very frustrated with that pitch that he swung on and missed. And at the end of 1 inning, it remains scoreless from Cal Poly Pomona between the Heat and Buccaneers. And welcome back to Scalino's Field on the campus of Cal Poly Pomona. Dave Sobera on the play-by-play. So glad you could join us as we head to the top of the second inning. No score between the Heat and Bucs. First pitch misses outside for ball 1 to Sergio Lujan, the cleanup hitter, wearing number 25 for the Heat. As we mentioned, De La Pena is going to class later on today, as this one is overthrown in the dirt for ball 1, and it's 1-1. So we figured to see him maybe until about 6:45. So If the Buccaneers are lucky, he'll get 3 innings in before he hits that cap of 645 and has to leave, as this one misses inside, and it's 3-0. So 3-0 the count to the large right-handed hitter Sergio Lujan, who can really do damage with the bat. This one in there for strike 1, and it's 3-1. So a hitter's pitch to come for Lujan. Lujan had an RBI single and scored yesterday for the High Desert Heat. This one is in there for strike 2, right at the knees, as Sergio Lujan threw his bat over to the third base dugout and was about a third of the way down the first base line and is now complaining to the home plate umpire, who just shakes his head. And it's a full count. So De La Pena fighting back after being down 3-0. Now it's a full count. Fastball misses low, and the bat was thrown very hard over to third base, and the home plate umpire is not happy at all. And I believe he's giving him a warning now, as Sergio Lujan put his hands up and said, basically, I guess, sorry. Now, you don't want to do that because for the High Desert Heat, believe it or not, at least at the start of the game, they only had 9 players, as their coach, Pete Kelly, this one swung and lifted to center field. Line drive. Diego Cortez makes the grab for the first out here. So that's the first out in the top of the second inning by Cortez. Of course, the leadoff hitter drawing that walk on a full count. But as we were starting to say, Pete Kelly was joking that he's playing national rules today because he only has 9. So the pitcher will be batting. Very interesting because he had a lot of players here yesterday, and they actually have a lot of players that are from this area in general. This one's on the outside corner, called strike 1, and it's 0-1 to Cody Calvert. Calvert is the catcher, wearing number 55 for the High Desert Heat. Heat, of course, in their blue shirts, red writing, as this one is swung off the edge of the bat. He was jammed on that one. Shortstop charging, Seminars fires and got him. I believe he got him. I believe the home plate umpire called him out, as yes, he did. It's tough to see because there's only one umpire right now. We mentioned that the umpires were not here at 5 o'clock, and so we're starting this game with one home plate umpire, and we believe we're going to get a second umpire later on in the game. It's kind of tough for a league game for this to happen. It's really unfortunate, I should say, as there's now a runner in scoring position with 2 outs here for the High Desert Heat. That is Sergio Lujan. Late kicking, here's the pitch from De La Pena. Swung and foul tip, then it's 0-1. Johnny Lanter, another one of the players who started yesterday for the High Desert Heat, but he was pretty much the only guy who struggled yesterday. He went 0 for 4. Actually, the leadoff hitter, Smith, struggled as well. De La Pena checks the runner, fires home. This one misses low for a ball. De La Pena goes to Cal State San Bernardino, where he'll be a junior next year. His major is criminal justice. Late kick, and here's the pitch, as this one misses low for another ball. Went to Citrus College before Cal State San Bernardino. Had a very outstanding sophomore season. 17 appearances, a 0.79 ERA for the Citrus Owls. Here's the pitch. Swung and fouled back towards the screen, as the on-deck hitter, Anthony Aguila, will pick it up. Struck out more than 1 per inning there at Citrus College. 24 strikeouts in 22 innings. Also had 4 saves. So he's very reliable for Citrus. A lot of Citrus College players on both the Buccaneers and the Pirates are players who were at Citrus College at one point. Here's the pitch from De La Pena. Called strike 3 on the inside corner on a nice slider that basically broke all the way from the right side of the plate across the left. And down goes Lanter for the third out of the inning. And at the end of 1.5, we still have no score from Cal Poly Pomona. And welcome back to Cal Poly Pomona. Bottom of the second we go. No score between the High Desert Heat and the Inland Valley Buccaneers as the number 5 hitter Anthony Rubito steps up for the first time today. Here's the pitch from Garcia. And this one misses inside for ball one. 1-0 the count to Rabito. Rabito 6'0", 195, right-handed hitter for the Buccaneers. Here's the 1-0 pitch. This one swung on and driven into center field for a base knock. So the Buccaneers get their second leadoff man on board in 2 innings. Let's see if they can do something with this inning. As you know, anytime you get that leadoff man on board, the numbers just really go up astronomically in the terms of being able to score 1 run in that given inning. Here comes Tanner Thibodeau, the big left-handed stick for the Buccaneers. He's actually squaring around and trying to bunt one down the third base line, and he fouls it off the screen, and it's 0-1. I'm not sure if Thibodeau has been asked to bunt too often, as Kevin Bowler will give some signals. This could be a sacrifice bunt situation, obviously, with no outs here in the second inning and a man on first base. But Thibodeau is a guy who can really swing the stick, so you'd like to see him kind of get to swing it and take his cuts and show his power off. Thibodeau, 6'1", 170 pounds, awaiting the pitch from the right-handed pitcher Garcia. Squaring around once again and getting it down to perfection is Thibodeau. So Thibodeau does his job and gets the sacrifice bunt, and moving 90 feet in the scoring position is Anthony Rabito. So nice job right there, showing that he's not just about power and hitting, but that he can also get a situational hit done there in the form of a sacrifice bunt. Here comes Jack Spahn, the first baseman. Spahn from Point Loma, Nazarene. 6'2", 195 pound, right-handed batter. On deck is Charles Escobar, the left fielder. First pitch is low for ball one, 1-0 the count. So for the second consecutive inning, the Inland Valley Buccaneers have a man on second base. Will they be able to take advantage of that man in scoring position here in this second inning? Here's the pitch. Fastball swung on and foul behind home plate, and it's 1-1. This past season, Jack Spahn played in 24 games for Point Loma Nazarene, so regular for them. His major is applied health science, and he's another one of these players who not only gets the job done on the field, but also in the classroom. He was an all-academic Pac-West selection this past season. You see so many of those players on both the Buccaneers and the Pirates. Checking the runner, now firing. Home is Garcia. Nice breaking ball on the outside corner for strike 2, and it's 1-2. Spahn's hometown is Claremont. Went to Damien High School, where he was an all-league selection and 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Also hit .343 there his senior season, so very good for Damien High School. Here's the pitch. This one's swung on line into center field. The center fielder catches it off the hop, and Rabito will be held up at third base by his coach, Kevin Bowler. As the center fielder out there, Smith was playing pretty shallow and got in on that ball very quickly. And Rabito actually had to hold up a little bit in between second and third to make sure that the center fielder couldn't make the catch. So now there's runners on the corners here with 1 out in the bottom of the second inning. The Bucs looking to bring across a run here and take advantage of getting that leadoff man on base here in this inning. Up comes Charles Escobar, the left fielder, wearing number 8. On deck is Anthony Seminares. He's number 9 in the lineup. This one's swung, and this is a fly ball a mile high behind home plate and out of play as that one bounces in the adjacent parking lot. Of course, there's a parking lot down the third base line and also behind home plate and towards the first base line. That is designated for student parking here at Cal Poly Pomona. Mentioned this before. The first base line is all dormitories for the students. Pickoff attempt, not in time. Staying up on his feet is Spahn. It'll be interesting to see how quickly this game goes because, as we mentioned, obviously, it's still the bottom of the second inning at 6:11, and we said it started at 5:45 because the umpires were here late, as this one misses low and away for a ball to Escobar. On third base is Anthony Rabito, who singled into center field. On first base is Jack Spahn, who singled into center field. Basically followed right in suit there, did the two Buccaneers on the corners. Here's the pitch from Garcia. This one misses outside for a ball, and it's 2-1. Still only one umpire here, and we are told that a second umpire will be arriving. We'll see if that ever does happen, but there is supposed to be a second umpire arriving at some point here for this game. Garcia comes set in the stretch, fires. Breaking ball that misses inside for ball 3, and it's 3-1. So a very, very big situation right here for the Buccaneers, as there's runners on the corners and only one out and a 3-1 count. Let's see if Escobar sits dead red on fastball and tries to drive something here. It is a fastball, and he drives it to left field. That one is straight down the line, and it will land about a foot away from the fence and touch the fence. In comes Rabito, and rounding third and coming all the way from first to score is Jack Spahn, and it's 2-0 Buccaneers. So the Buccaneers have taken the lead here in the bottom of the second inning on the 2-run double by Charles Escobar. Well, we said right before the pitch, 3-1 pitch is a hitter's pitch. It's a type of pitch that you might sit dead red on fastball, and he was all over on that pitch, jumped on it, and drove it straight down that left field line, went all the way to the fence out there in left field, as Seminaris comes up to the plate, the shortstop and number 9 hitter in the lineup. So the Buccaneers, middle to bottom of the lineup, getting some damage done as this one is swung on and missed by Seminaris. 5'10", 175. Plays for Fullerton College. Fullerton College, if you remember a few years ago, was the state runner-up in the junior collegiate level. Shortstop shows glove, but the pitcher doesn't go over there, as this breaking ball misses low in the dirt for a ball, and it's 1-1. Seminaris' hometown is Chino Hills. Went to Ayala High School. As we mentioned, on deck is the leadoff hitter, Diego Cortez, who started this game off right for the Buccaneers with a single. This one is swung on a high fly ball down the right field line. Camping underneath it is Aguila, the right fielder, and tagging up to third base is Escobar, who slides in safe. And that'll be the second out here in the second inning. But as we mentioned, Escobar did advance 90 feet in the third on that fly ball to the outfield. So let's see if Diego Cortez can take advantage of that man on third, as the Bucs lead 2-0 here in the bottom of the second. Bucs looking to get over the hump, so to speak, and win their first game of the season, as this breaking ball's in there for strike one, and it's 0-1. Well, we talked about the High Desert Heat lineup yesterday, and this is a lineup that looks like it's drastically improved, a lot better lineup than it has been in previous years, as this breaking ball misses low in the dirt. And they really improved basically by keeping their best players from last season and then adding a bunch of the Rebels' best players, as well as getting a few other players from the high school level that are D1 type players, as this one is swung on and missed by Cortez, and it's 1-2. On deck is Rudy Cesares, the second baseman. Well, Diego Cortez, as we mentioned, started off with a leadoff single. They couldn't advance him, as this one is overthrown in the dirt. Nice job stopping that by Cody Calvert, the catcher. Because as we said, there is a runner on third base. So if that ball gets by the catcher, it could have been 3-0. So he saved the run right there. Here's the pitch from Garcia, who's working out of the windup, as this one is swung on and foul tipped. As the on-deck hitter, Cesares will pick it up. The Buccaneers trying to buck the trend of 5 consecutive losses with the red undershirts now instead of the black ones. That's the ones that they usually wear, as this one is swung on and fouled straight back at the screen. And once again, Rudy will have to pick it up, the on-deck hitter. Rudy on deck, Bryce Brooks in the hole. Here as the Buccaneers lead 2-0 in the bottom of the second. This one is swung off the edge of the bat to the right side, and Ronnie Leon, he's charging, fires over to first in time, and we do have a second umpire here now who calls him out. So that will be the final out of the inning, but the damage was done. The Buccaneers take a 2-0 lead as we head to the top of the third. And welcome back to Scalino's Field. Dave Sobera on the play-by-play. So glad you have joined us on InlandValleyBaseball.com for this big league matchup featuring the High Desert Heat and the Inland Valley Buccaneers. This is the second of 4 that they'll play this season. Of course, the first was won yesterday by the High Desert Heat, 5-4, as this pitch is in there for strike 1. 0-1 the count to Anthony Aguila, the right fielder. Jason De La Pena, the southpaw, has been very, very good so far for the Buccaneers, as this one is swung on and fouled down the third base line. Well, we mentioned that he plays for Cal State San Bernardino next season as a junior and is 0-2. We also mentioned that he played for Citrus College, where he put up some very good numbers, a 0.79 ERA and 24 strikeouts in 22 innings. And this one is swung on and missed, and that is strike 3 for the first out here in the inning, as Michael Ortega didn't want to throw it around. Jason De La Pena was kind of walking around the mound and expecting the ball to be thrown down the third base, but Ortega went straight back to De La Pena as Josh Garcia steps up for the first time. The pitcher batting here takes low for ball 1, and it's 1-0. What we didn't tell you is his hometown is Los Angeles, is De La Pena's. Went to Los Altos High School, as this is 2-0 now. This is pitch missed outside on a fastball. He was a first-team All-Hacienda League selection there for Los Altos. I had the chance to actually broadcast the Los Altos High School game a couple years ago. Have a nice football field. Good league in the Hacienda League, as this one misses low, and it's 3-0. So this is not really what you wanted to do if you're De La Pena. This is the pitcher. Now, he might be able to hit, but you don't want to get down 3-0, and that one not near the zone either. And it's a 4-pitch walk drawn there by Josh Garcia. So Garcia turns the lineup over to the leadoff hitter, and Sean Smith. Sean Smith 0 for 1 with a ground out to the shortstop. Sean Smith also, as we mentioned, went 0 for 4 yesterday. Did score a run because he reached on an error. Also reached on a walk yesterday. Very small lead off of first base by Josh Garcia, the pitcher. Say maybe a couple, 3 feet. This one's in there, called strike 1, and it's 0-1. Actually, if you remember, Sean Smith is the guy with the hot pink stick. And he actually got rid of the hot pink stick in his 5th plate appearance yesterday. But it still didn't help him, as he was out on that at-bat. In fact, he struck out in that at-bat. Here's the pitch. This one is swung off the very edge of the bat down the first base line, and Johnny Juarez will come off the bench and grab that ball. 0-2 the count. That's what you want to see if you're Kevin Bowler, if you're the manager. You just had a 4-pitch walk, and then you come back and get 2 strikes to the leadoff hitter. Working out of the stretch, checking the runner. Now firing is De La Pena. This one is swung on, and that is lined through the right side hole. That will be the first base hit of the day for the High Desert Heat. So the Heat now, with runners on first and second, 1 out, top of the 3rd inning. They trail 2-0 to the Buccaneers, as Ronnie Leon, the switch hitter, comes up to the plate. Ronnie Leon 0 for 1, flew out to the first baseman. First baseman, of course, Jack Spahn over there. Well, this is what the Buccaneers have to avert. They have to avert a big inning. Leg kick, and here's the pitch, as this one's called a strike on the inside corner on 1. In fact, this was the inning that did the Buccaneers in yesterday. The 3rd inning is where the High Desert Heat scored all 5 runs. All 5 runs being scored with 2 outs in that inning, and after an error, so they were all unearned. De La Pena checking over at second base, now comes home. This one's swung, and this is a high fly ball to deep left center field. Running and trying to make the catch is left fielder Escobar, but it gets over his head. Rounding third and coming home to score is 1 run, and here comes a 2nd run. That is Smith, and it's now knotted up at 2 apiece on the 2-run double by Ronnie Leon. So just like that, we have a tied ball game, as Ronnie Leon, the all-star from last season in the SCCBL, drives it to deep left center field over towards the Cal Poly Pomona sign out there. Making a very good effort was Escobar, and it actually it grazed off the edge of his glove, but it couldn't bring it down. It was not an easy play to make, as this pitch misses low and inside for ball 1. 1-0 the count to Manny Chavez. Chavez grounded out to the third baseman back in the first inning. If you remember, it was actually a slow roller kind of in the hole that Bryce Brooks charged and then fired across the diamond to make the play. Time was called for by the catcher Michael Ortega to maybe just settle down his pitcher, who really started out very strong in the first 2 1/3 innings. In fact, he hadn't given up a hit in the first 2 1/3 innings. And then all of a sudden you walk the pitcher on 4 pitches. There's a single by Sean Smith to right field, and then a rocket double to left center. Here's the pitch from De La Pena. This one is swung on. It's a fly ball that's going to make its way out of play. At first I thought it might have stayed in. Ortega had a relentless pursuit on the ball, but slowed down once he realized it was going to get over the backstop. 1-1 the count here. I mentioned that there are now 2 umpires back in the last half inning. So we have our full arsenal of umpires. It is still the top of the 3rd inning between the Heat and Buccaneers. Late kicking, here's the pitch. This fastball bounces in the dirt. Good job by Ortega to stop it and to make sure that that runner, Ronnie Leon, could not advance 90 feet in the 3rd. 2-1 the count here. As we mentioned yesterday, Jesus Beltran, the manager, is not here today or yesterday. That is because he is celebrating his honeymoon. He just got married. So Pete Kelly is taking over the managerial duties for the High Desert Heat, as this one misses low and inside for a ball. Pete Kelly's son is actually on this Heat team as well. His name is Jordan. He's a pitcher, but he's not finished with school yet, so he's not here with the Heat yet. Goes to Cal State San Bernardino, which is actually where Jason De La Pena goes. As this one misses low and away for ball 4. So Manny Chavez draws the walk, and there's 2 men on base once again here for the Heat in the 3rd inning, as the second baseman Rudy Cesares will come and have a little conference with De La Pena behind the pitcher's mound. Here comes Sergio Lujan, the very, very large right-handed hitter for the High Desert Heat. He walked in his first plate appearance and was the first man actually to reach base for High Desert Heat in the 2nd inning. Swings and misses at the first pitch, and it's 0-1. If you remember, he had a little bit of an argument with the home plate umpire on the strike 2 call as he headed about a third of the way down the first baseline, and the umpire called strike 2. He came back, and then he kind of slammed the bat down after the walk was called. And then the umpire kind of talking to him over at first base and saying, as this one is a snap throw and it gets away from Spawn, and both runners will advance 90 feet in the scoring position. So not what you want to see if you're a Buccaneers fan on the error right there. And that's something we mentioned yesterday. That's something you cannot afford to do in the SCCBL. These teams are too good to be giving up unforced errors like that. Jason De La Pena will now work out of the windup as there's a runner on third base, so you can't really, figure that the runner on third is going to try to steal. Ronnie Leon was actually bluffing a little bit, trying to get in the head of De La Pena, who checks over there and now fires home. This one misses low for a ball to Sergio Lujan, who's showing great plate discipline today. As we mentioned, already drew 1 walk. Would love nothing more than to get another walk and to load the bases here. As this one is swung on and missed for strike 2, Sergio Lujan took a huge hack at that one. I think he wanted to send that out of left field. So 2-strike count for Lujan. He's going to have to protect. Meanwhile, for De La Pena, you'd love to strike this hitter out with 1 out in the inning. This slider misses low and in for a ball, as I believe our home plate umpire might be calling for extra baseballs or something. I'm not exactly sure what he was asking for, but that's what it looked like. He was pointing to his bag. Here's the pitch from De La Pena. This one misses low, and that's ball 4. So the bases are now juiced here for the High Desert Heat as Mitchell Booman comes to the plate. So all of a sudden, we talked about it, in 2 1/3 innings pitch, De La Pena had not even given up a hit. And ever since then, he has 3 walks, a single and a double. So very, very tough for De La Peña. De La Peña, one of the top pitchers on this Buccaneers team, as Mitchell Boomen. He's 0 for 1, lined out to center field. Nice job by Michael Ortega to stop that one on a slider that was well in the dirt, and it's 1-0. Well, this is going to be a very important pitch right here. You got to get a strike on this pitch, because if you fall behind 2-0, then the hitter pretty much knows you're going to have to come with a fastball. Late kicking, here's the pitch. This one swung and fouled out of play down the first base line. So it is 1-1 now. Here to number 10, Mitchell Boomen. Boomen, the number 5 hitter in the lineup. Then we've got Cody Calvert and Johnny Lanter on deck and in the hole for the High Desert Heat. The first and third basemen are on the corners. This one swung on and lifted to second base. Rudy Cesares makes the catch and fires over to first for the double play. So Lujan was off with the swing of the bat and thought that it was enough to get over the head of Cesares. Cesares running to his left about 5-6 feet, also making some ground backwards, catches the ball a couple feet on the outfield grass, and then it fires and has the wherewithal to catch Lujan off of first base. And that is an inning-ending double play with the bases loaded, so that's a huge mistake for the High Desert Heat. But they did score 2 runs, and they tied this game up as we head to the bottom of the third here at Cal Poly Pomona. And welcome back to Scalino's Field on the campus of Cal Poly Pomona. 2-2 the score as we head to the bottom of the third inning. High Desert Heat and Inland Valley Buccaneers doing battle. First pitch misses outside for ball 1 to Rudy Cesares. Cesares 0 for 1, flew out to his counterpart Ronnie Leon back in the first inning. On deck is Bryce Brooks. Here's the pitch. This one's in there for a strike to Cesares. Cesares is a major in kinesiology at Cal State San Bernardino. You see that major a lot with a bunch of the baseball guys. It's something that they feel like after their baseball days are over, they want to be a physical trainer or a therapist or that type of thing, kind of stay involved with the sport. Here's a 2-1 pitch, is whacked foul down the third base line, and it's 2-2. Cesares jumping all over that, but was just a little bit too far out in front of it as he pulled it foul. Kevin Bowler clapping, giving him some support there. This one swung on and missed a breaking ball in the dirt for strike 3. So Cesares goes down on strikes, and that'll be the first out here in the third inning. Well, if you're just joining us, we had a 48-minute delay, which you don't figure to see too often in Pomona. But the umpires did not arrive until 5:45, and the game started about 5:48 after 3 minutes of warm-ups. Bryce Brooks bounces the first pitch up the middle. Shortstop covering a lot of ground and making a nice throw is Boomen over to first base for the second out of the inning. So 6-3 on that putout as Boomen covered a lot of ground, caught it pretty much right in front of second base, fired sidearm across to first for that second out. Here comes Michael Ortega, the cleanup hitter. He's 0 for 1 with the strikeout. Here's the pitch. Fastball low and away for ball 1, and it's 1-0. On deck is Rabito. Rabito led off that second inning with a single and wound up scoring. That was the inning where the Buccaneers scored 2 runs. This one swung on, and this is going to be a chopper over to the left side. The third baseman covering it in the hole and fires across the diamond for the out. Good play made by Chavez, who cut it off. It was in that whole area, but as we mentioned, it was a chopper, so it wasn't hit that hard. And he did a good job of covering his ground and making that play. And so that'll do it for the third inning. And at the end of 3 full innings of play here from Cal Poly Pomona, the score remains 2 apiece between the Heat and Buccaneers. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. And welcome back on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Dave Sobera on the play-by-play. So glad you could join us for this league matchup between the High Desert Heat and the Buccaneers. 2-2 the score as we head to the top of the fourth inning. We have a new pitcher. That is Nathaniel Acosta from the University of Redlands. He majors there in communicative disorders. Hometown Chino Hills. Went to Chino Hills High School. So a lot of guys, as we mentioned, from the Inland Empire area and all around this area for both the Buccaneers and the Pirates. So Acosta will come in for his second appearance of the season. The right-handed hurler working from the left side of the mound. Fires a fastball outside for ball 1, 1-0 the count. So you can close the book on Jason De La Pena, who started the game and pitched 3 innings, gave up a couple of runs. Here's the pitch. This one's in the dirt for ball 2, and it's 2-0. Well, as we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the 48-minute delay actually kind of hurt the Buccaneers as this one saw, and this is a towering fly ball to right field. Camping underneath it out there is Rabito for the first out. And the reason that 48-minute delay kind of hurt the Buccaneers is because De La Pena was supposed to go probably 5 or 6 innings, but he actually has a class tonight. So he was supposed to leave at about 6:45, and obviously he's leaving before 6:45, as it's 6:37. But he had to leave to go to class. So he only got 3 innings in as this fastball misses outside, and it's 1-0 here to Johnny Lanter. Johnny Lanter 0 for 1 with a strikeout here in this game. Here's the pitch from Acosta. This one misses inside, and it's 2-0. Top of the 4th inning, 2-2 the score between the Buccaneers and Heat. This fastball's in there on the outside for strike 1, and it's 2-1. So a lot of interesting things going on here at the ballpark for a league game, a very important league game at that, as this one's a 59-footer in the dirt, and it's 3-1. Well, so often we've talked about it here in this game even, that you get that 3-1 pitch and you're sitting dead red on fastball, and we saw a couple situations in this game where they've been driven to the outfield. Here's the pitch. This is a fastball, and this one is driven into the outfield. Line drive straight back from where it came from, up the middle, and that'll be a base hit for the High Desert Heat. So Johnny Lanter kind of gets off the schneid here in Cal Poly Pomona. That is his first hit in 2 games, as up comes Anthony Aguila, the right fielder. He is 0 for 1 with a strikeout here today. Yesterday he was 2 for 4, had a couple singles. Costa peers in at his catcher's signs and likes what he sees. Here's the pitch. Called strike on an off-speed pitch, and it's 0-1. Of course, this is only the second league game of the year for both teams, actually, the Heat and the Bucs. The second league game for the Power and Pirates will be later on today, as we have a pickoff throw, and getting dirty over there at first base is Lanter. Haven't seen anybody picked off so far this season that I can remember in either the Buccaneers or the Pirates games. This one is swung on and fouled back towards the screen by Aguila. So it's 0-2. Acosta now ahead of the hitter. Let's see if he throws some good purpose pitches here to try to catch the hitter fishing. Of course, that's what you want to do. You kind of want to set him up to swing at something out of the zone here, as this fastball was way out of the zone, high and outside, and it's 1-2. You see lots of guys try to throw the slider-type pitch in low and outside in the dirt on 0-2 counts. Here's the pitch. Another fastball, and this one is a line drive foul down the third base line. So we'll do it again. Another 1-2 pitch to come between Acosta and Aguila. Still on first base is Johnny Lanter, who singled up the middle. Cody Calvert flew out to right field earlier in this inning, as we have another pickoff attempt over to first base. It's interesting because Acosta is going to be a pitcher this season for the Buccaneers, but here's the pitch. Breaking ball that he kind of hangs high and out of the zone, and it's 2-2. But he did a lot of damage at University of Redlands as a hitter. Obviously making the switch from everyday player to pitcher this summer for them. Here's the 2-2 offering, and this one is chopped foul. Not sure if that hit off home plate or what, because that thing flew off the ground, bounced very high. As this is a very, very good at-bat, very disciplined at-bat at the plate for Anthony Aguila, who continues to protect the plate and continues to fight off pitches. Costa nods his head in approval of Ortega's signs and fires home. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So Ortega. So Acosta gets his first strikeout of the day, as Ortega barks out some signals to the infield. And that's the second out here in the 4th inning. Here comes Josh Garcia. If you remember, Josh Garcia, the pitcher, was the one who started the rally in the last inning, swings and misses at this one, and it's 0-1. He took 4 consecutive balls and wound up scoring on a 2-run double by Ronnie Leon. That tied the game at 2 apiece. That's still the score as the runner's off with the pitch. Swung on and missed. Throw down to second base. In time. There was a late reaction by the second base umpire, and it was kind of hard for me to see because it looked like the runner was sliding before the tag was applied, but it definitely did look like the throw beat the runner. And so that is the first time I believe somebody has been caught stealing by a catcher for the Buccaneers this season. Of course, Michael Ortega, the man, doing the job right there. And at the end of 3.5 innings of play, it remains a 2-2 tie between the Heat and Bucs. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Let's see how the Buccaneers roll here in the bottom of the 4th inning, as it's a tied game, 2 apiece between the Bucs and Heat. Up comes Anthony Rabito, who's in a familiar position as he takes strike 1. If you remember back in the 2nd inning, he led off that inning with a single and wound up scoring. Here's the pitch. This one misses low, and it's 1-1. On deck is Tanner Thibodeau, the designated hitter, who had a sacrifice bunt, which you don't see him do too often. Very big left-handed hitter. But he got the situational hit done there, as this is called a strike, and it's 1-2, breaking ball at the knees. In the hole is Jack Spahn, so a bunch of big guys coming up in this lineup for the Inland Valley Buccaneers, as this one is swung on and fouled down that third base line over towards the dugout of the High Desert Heat. Kevin Buller walking over towards the ball, and I guess he's the one that will pick it up and deliver it back over there to the home plate umpire. Here's the pitch from Garcia. Swung on and missed, strike 3. As the tag is actually applied by the catcher Calvert. I'm not sure if it bounced in the dirt or not, but you can never be too sure. It's always a good thing to be safe than sorry, and so he applies the tag. And that'll be the strikeout, the first out here in the 4th inning. Garcia starting the roll here for the High Desert Heat as this fastball misses high and away to Tanner Thibodeau. Garcia has retired 6 consecutive batters as this one misses low, and it's 2-0. Thibodeau, one of the few players on this team that's actually not from Southern California. He's from Omaha, Nebraska, as this one misses inside for another ball to Thibodeau. Thibodeau went to Elkhorn South High School there. They were calling him Nebraska. I guess Nebraska is his nickname on this team. As this one misses low, so I guess you could say that might have been the announcer's jinx. After I just said he retired 6 consecutive hitters, he walks the next one on 4 pitches. So Thibodeau now at first base with that walk as Jack Spahn comes to the plate. Jack Spahn, 1 for 1, singled and scored back in the 2nd inning. So Jack Spahn hoping to do that again here in the 4th if he can. Here's the pitch from Garcia. Fastball swung and fouled towards the third base dugout, and it's 0-1. Jack Spahn yesterday walked and scored back in the 2nd inning in that game. So, productive couple games for Jack Spahn, scoring a run both yesterday and today. We're still in the middle of this game as well, so he might be able to score another one. This is a hit and run, and it's through the left side hole, making a diving backhanded grab as the shortstop actually in the hole. So a nice job to make sure that it didn't get into left field by Mitchell Booman. But the hit and run does work, as it'll be a single for Spahn. You always try to find spots where you can kind of hit a ground ball on a hit and roll, hit and run, either towards the left side or the right side, depending on which middle infielder is covering second base. Obviously, they usually leave a big hole open. And right there he found the hole. And so the Bucs got 2 men on base now here in this inning, as this one is overthrown in the dirt and gets by the catcher. And now both runners will advance 90 feet and into scoring position. So a lot of momentum here for the Bucs. Let's see how they take advantage of it, or if they take advantage of it here in the 4th inning. Thibodeau, of course, on third, who drew the walk in 4 consecutive pitches. And Jack Spahn at second, who had this single on the left side hole. Charles Escobar is at the plate. This is the man who had the two-run double back in the second inning. 1-0. This one swung and driven down the third base line. Foul. Third baseman Chavez making a very good diving backhanded attempt. But as we said, it was foul and out of his reach, and it's 1-1. So Charles Escobar stepping up today. As we mentioned, it's been a struggle so far for the Bucs this season as they come in at 0-5. Meanwhile, the Heat are 2-1. As this one misses high and in, and it's 2-1. Heat, of course, we talked about it at the beginning of the broadcast yesterday as well as the beginning today. The very, very good roster this season. Figure to be a contender in the SCCBL. Here's the pitch from Garcia. Swung, and this one is a skyscraper a mile high in the shallow outfield. In that Bermuda Triangle zone, is anybody calling for it? Nobody catches it. It falls to the ground, and nobody is actually going to be able to advance because they had to stay at home. They had to basically tag up. And so even though the ball falls to the ground, as the third baseman Chavez at the last second tried to make a basket catch on it, there's actually not really any harm for Garcia, the pitcher, in the sense that nobody scored. There is now bases loaded. But you could argue that maybe bases loaded is a better situation for the Heat because now they can shoot two as opposed to trying to come home or, just going to first and conceding a run. First pitch in there on the inside corner for strike one to Anthony Seminaris. So big moment right here. Bases loaded, one out, bottom of the fourth inning, 2-2 the score as number 2 is at the plate. Here's the pitch. This one misses low. Good eyes shown. Snap throw down to first base, not in time. And it's 1-1 to Anthony Seminaris. See what Seminaris can come up with here. Garcia comes set, working on a stretch, fires. This one high, and it's 2-1. So 2 balls and 1 strike for Seminaris with the bases loaded. Anthony Rubito started the inning off and struck out. Then it was Tanner Thibodeau who walked and is now on third. Spawn had the single on the left side and is at second, and Escobar reaching on the air. This one is a fastball that misses high, and it's now 3-1. So a hitter's pitch to come, 3-1 count. If you remember back in the second inning, Charles Escobar drove that 3-1 count into left field for a 2-run double. Let's see if Seminaris can come up with the same thing. This pitch is swung on and fouled out of play behind home plate and into the adjacent parking lot here at Cal Poly Pomona. So it's now a full count. An ultimate payoff pitch of sorts here with the bases loaded in a 2-2 game in the bottom of the fourth inning. Here's the pitch from Garcia. Swung and foul tipped. And it's called a strikeout because the bases are loaded, so you cannot go to first, and that'll be the second out of the inning. So very, very tough right there for the Buccaneers when you have the bases loaded to strike out and to not make contact and just get the ball in play in that situation. Obviously, you want to try to get it into play, and maybe there'll be an error, but maybe you'll just be able to beat the throw out to first base if it's a ground ball and get an RBI ground out. But now there are 2 outs here in the bottom of the fourth with Diego Cortez taking strike 1 on an off-speed pitch. So Josh Garcia digging himself a little bit of a hole, but trying to fight out of it here in the fourth inning. Here's the pitch. This one paints the outside corner, and it's 0-2. Sounds like there's actually a good number of High Desert Heat fans here today as they are encouraging their man, Josh Garcia. Here's the pitch from Garcia. Fastball bounced right back at Garcia. He fields it and fires the first, and they avoid the jam due to the High Desert Heat. As they get out of this inning unscathed, there were runners on second and third with only 1 out, and then runners everywhere. The bases were loaded with 1 out as well. The High Desert Heat get out of the jam, and it remains 2-2 here at the end of 4 from Cal Poly Pomona. And welcome back as we head to the top of the 5th inning. 2-2 the score. High Desert Heat and Inland Valley Buccaneers doing battle on the campus of Cal Poly Pomona as the first pitch is a fastball that misses low for ball one from Acosta. Up at the plate is Josh Garcia, who just got out of a jam in the last half inning. This one called to strike at the knees, and it's 1-1. If you recall, he was actually at bat in the last inning, but Johnny Lanter was caught stealing at second base. Swung on and missed, and it's 1-2. And actually, Josh Garcia has been a big part of this game, of course, pitching 4 innings very well, as leading off that third inning with a walk and scoring. He's the one that started the rally for them in that inning, as this one misses low for a ball to Garcia. He was brought home, of course, on the 2-run double by Ronnie Leon. Sean Smith also scored on that play, as this one is swung on and fouled out of play down the right field line. So another 2-strike pitch to come here to the pitcher, Josh Garcia. It'll be interesting to see how many innings Josh Garcia can pitch today. Here's the pitch. That one is way high. And that was very wild looking and nowhere near the zone. But the reason it'll be interesting to see how far Josh Garcia can go is because the High Desert Heat only have 9 players here, so they're going to have to rely on a position player to come in and pitch and relieve him, as this one is swung on and fouled down the first base line. Protecting the plate to perfection is Garcia so far. Of course, we had talked about Garcia had retired 6 consecutive batters in the last half inning. Then we had the announcer's jinx, as this one's called strike 3 at the knees, and that'll be a strikeout, second in a row here for Acosta. Or actually, that will be the second in the last 3 outs for Acosta. Of course, the inning ended on a caught stealing base by Johnny Lanter. But here comes the top of the lineup. Here, Sean Smith, the leadoff hitter, 1 for 2 on the day, singled and scored back in the third inning. Sean Smith, you got to mention the pink bat because it sticks out like a sore thumb, as this one misses low, and it's 1-0. Right-handed hitter wearing number 21, rocking an open stance, as the third baseman is on the infield grass. Swung on and missed by Sean Smith. Sean Smith, one of the few players that was signed in the tryout in Palm Springs on Memorial Day. It was that Monday. Of course, signed by the High Desert Heat. Here's the pitch. Fastball misses outside. If you're just joining us, it's been an eventful game so far. We started 48 minutes late because of a delay with no umpires. So that's why we are still in the top of the 5th inning at 6:56. This one swung on, line drive to center field, charging in and trying to make a diving grab as the center fielder, Diego Cortez. He can't make the catch. It rolls all the way back to the wall. Rounding second and now pulling his hamstring. Well, we don't want to speculate that he pulled his hamstring, but he pulled up like he hurt his hamstring, is Sean Smith, who is in there with a triple, and he is holding that hamstring area, the right hamstring, as he's going to ask for some help. I think that he wants to be stretched out a little bit and try to walk it off. And no, he's just going to ask for some water. Maybe it's a cramp. You kind of root for when a guy pulls up like that it might be a cramp. Of course, speaking of cramps, you'd be remiss if you didn't mention LeBron James cramping in the NBA Finals a few days ago, and people calling it LeBroning to basically just cramp. But he's stretching out, getting a good stretch on that third base line after hitting that triple into dead center. Cortez taking a high risk, a major risk in center field to try to make a diving catch when maybe he should have just played the ball in front of him. It was pretty much a routine line drive single, and if he had just caught it off the one hop and fired into second, it would have been a single as opposed to having a runner on third base now. Still shaking out his right leg down that third base line is Sean Smith, the leadoff hitter. This one is swung on and missed by Ronnie Leon, and it's 0-1. You never want to see your leadoff hitter, or any player for that matter, get injured, especially in a summer collegiate league when you're trying to get noticed by some scouts or just trying to stay basically in shape and keep your timing going. But you definitely don't want to see a leadoff hitter get injured, as this one is swung on and foul tipped, and it's 0-2 into the glove of Johnny Juarez. And welcome back to Scalino's Field as we have a new hitter in for Rudy Cesares. That'll be Smith, wearing number 25 for the Buccaneers, 5'10", 170, from Memorial High School in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Here's the pitch from Garcia, who remains on the bump for the Heat. This one misses low for ball one, and it's 1-0. So 1-0 the count here as Bryce Brooks is on deck. He remains on deck for the Buccaneers. This one misses low, and it's 2-0. Nathaniel Acosta having a very strong 2 innings pitch so far. Here's the pitch. This one misses low and away, and it's 3-0. So the Buccaneers will hope to get their leadoff man on board, something that they've already done in the first inning. They did it in the second inning, and not in the third or fourth, but they did in the first 2 innings, as this one's in there pretty much right down Broadway for strike one. Of course, taking all the way on a 3-0 count was Michael Smith. Here's the pitch to Smith. This one is called a strike on the inside corner, and it's now 3-2. So Garcia fighting his way back into this count, initially falling behind 3-0, now has a full count. Here is the full count offering. Swung and foul tipped off the shin, I believe, the left shin of the hitter Smith. Of course, when you get to the middle innings in a SCCBL game, you start seeing a lot of adjustments, and Smith is the first one that we've seen, as this one's chopped foul down the third base line, or at least the first one we've seen in terms of hitting-wise. We did see the catcher Johnny Juarez was different in the last half inning behind the home plate. Late kick, and here's the pitch. Fastball swung, and this one's fouled out of play down the first base line. So an epic battle ensuing here between Smith and Garcia. You'd probably advise the Buccaneers to try to wear down this pitcher if you can, and basically do exactly this. Stretch out as many pitches as they can against him, because we don't know exactly who the Heat are going to run out after that. This is called strike 3 on the outside corner, and Smith didn't really like the call as he walks back to his dugout. So Smith strikes out as Bryce Brooks comes up to the plate. Bryce Brooks, the third baseman, 0 for 2. Bounces the first one, and he sees right up the middle for a base hit. So Brooks is on safely for the first time today, as we will have Johnny Juarez up for the first time. We mentioned Johnny Juarez came in the last inning in the field to be the catcher for, of course, Michael Ortega, who started. Ortega was 0 for 2 in his 2 at-bats, if you were wondering. On deck is Campbell, so that'll be another new hitter for the Buccaneers. Here's the pitch from Garcia. This one's swung and lifted to right field. It's slicing foul. Will the right fielder have enough room to make the catch? No, he will not, as Aguila covered a lot of ground but couldn't get there in time, and it falls harmlessly to the ground, and it's 0-1 here for Johnny Juarez. Juarez, 5'11", 190. Plays for Mount Sac, hometown Glendora, and went to Glendora High School. We'll try to give you some live listen-ins to the Palm Springs Power and Pirates game as they are just underway. Off with the pitch is Bryce Brooks, and this one is going to be a stolen base for Bryce Brooks, but actually interference was called for by the hitter, and the first base coach is yelling that no way they had a shot at the throwing the runner out, and so Juarez now will be called out and head to the dugout on the interference with the catcher. And meanwhile, Kevin Bowler, the manager, now is going to have a little talk and conference with the home plate umpire to kind of ask him about what happened there, as we have a little bit of a delay, and as we mentioned, on deck was Campbell, so Campbell will be the new hitter here for the Buccaneers. Brendan Campbell, 5'10", 175, from Citrus College, where he'll be a sophomore next season. This past season, in 25 games, hit .242 for them, and was an honorable mention all-conference selection, taking his first hacks of the day, as the conference is now over between Kevin Bowler and the home plate umpire, and we're ready to resume play with 2 outs here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Man on first is Bryce Brooks, who singled up the middle, as this is called outside, ball 1 for Campbell, 1-0 the count. On deck is Thibodeau, so Thibodeau will remain in. Nebraska, as he was affectionately called by the dugout earlier today, of course, because he's from Omaha. Also the home of the College World Series that will be getting underway very shortly. Here's the pitch. Swung on, line drive in the left field for a base hit, and that is in the left center gap. Rounding second and headed into third is Bryce Brooks, and taking a long turn around first was the runner Gamble, who heads back to first. The ball was actually overthrown a bit, but doing a great job backing the play up was the pitcher Garcia, who gloved it and made sure that neither Brooks nor Campbell could advance. So here the Bucs are again with runners on the corners, this time with 2 outs. They would love to get a 2-out rally of their own. As we mentioned, all 5 Heat runs yesterday scored with 2 outs in that third inning, as this one swung on and lifted into right field, down the right field line, and now the right fielder has a beat on it. That's Aguila, and he makes the catch. So at the end of 5 innings, remains 2-2 between the Bucs and Heat. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. We're going to get you out to Palm Springs for a little live looking on the Pirates and Power. Let's go out to Palm Springs.
Roaming center is your 9-hitter. The 2-1 pitch, a little nub shot, one hopper to the glove of Escobar. The throw down to David at first is in time to take care of Pell. So 1 down here in the bottom of the first inning as Andrew Alvarez takes care of Pell. Hayden Nilsson comes to the plate, batting .433 on the season, 2 doubles, 11 RBIs, tied for a team lead with Jake Howarth. Well, check that, Howarth, 1 behind Nilsson.
And welcome back in Pomona for this game between the High Desert Heat and Inland Valley Buccaneers. 2-2 the score. First pitch in at the knees, called strike 1 to Sergio Lujan. Lujan, the large first baseman for the High Desert Heat, who's taken 2 walks today. Swings and misses at this one, and it's 0-2. And now he walks around the batter's box in a little bit of frustration, readjusts his batting gloves, and kind of spits down the third base line. As we mentioned, shade does start coming in at this time in Cal Poly Pomona, as this fastball misses high for ball 1, 1-2 the count. Shade is due to both the clubhouse and the first base side, as well as the dormitories, as this one misses low, breaking ball in the dirt, and it's 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes the count here for Nathaniel Acosta. Swung on and missed, strike 3. So for the first time today, Sergio Lujan is retired, and that is actually the first time he will get an official at bat, because the previous 2 times he was walked. As it sounds like we have a plane flying overhead in Pomona. So the Power and Pirates are just underway. We'll continue to try to give you live listen-ins to those games, as well as this game. That's knotted up at 2 apiece here in the top of the 6th inning. Both league games, of course, as this one is lifted into right center field and showing off a lot of range and making the catch on the dead sprint out there in right center field is Cortez for the 2nd out of the inning. So Cortez has had a couple of good plays after, making the diving attempt that he couldn't bring in, and Smith getting a triple out of that. But, of course, Smith didn't end up scoring. So even though he made that diving catch and the diving attempt and didn't make the play, didn't end up hurting the Buccaneers, as this one is swung on and missed, and it's 0-1 to Cody Calvert. Cody Calvert, 0 for 2. Grounded out to the shortstop and flew out to right field. This one is chopped foul down the third base line. And down the third base line, Smith is stretching his right hamstring out. As we mentioned on that triple, looked like he kind of pulled it. Here's the pitch. This one misses for a ball. It'll be interesting to see how late we go with this game. We have at least another hour, I would say, of play, as this one is foul tipped off the catcher's protective gear by Cody Calvert. Well, what will be very interesting to see is if Smith can't answer the bell, but he's actually just kind of laughing down that third base line, even though he's being stretched by his fellow outfielder, Aguila, over there. So a lot of things going on in the SCCBL as we have two league matchups underway. This one, of course, getting underway at 5:45-ish. And this one is swung, and this is a fly ball in the middle of the infield. Costa getting out of the area, as most pitchers do, and clearing way for the out there. I believe that was Kevin Riley. Was that Kevin Riley? Yeah, that was Kevin Riley who caught that, so he came in as a defensive replacement in the inning. And he puts that one away for the final out. And at the end of 5.5 innings, it remains 2 apiece between the Bucs and Heat. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Now we're going to try to get you back out to Palm Springs.
In the stolen base category. And now a duck on the pond here for Brandon Gomez, an opportunity to pick up his 8th RBI of the season.
That's what this power team does. When they get on base, they're always trying to advance. And just out of the gate, Jake House drawing that walk, stealing that base, and putting pressure on the infield for the Pirates.
Power now 35 of 38 in stolen bases on the season. This one big cut here by Gomez, high in the air, going outside the first base line is David. He backs up and makes the catch to end the threat here in the bottom of the first. The runner left on second for the Power. No runs, no runs, no hits, no errors, and one man left aboard after 1 inning to play. We're scoreless. Back for the top of the second right after this on the Power Radio Network.
So we just heard there with our live look in from Palm Springs that after 1 inning, it's scoreless out there. Pirates and Power doing battle in the other SCCBL matchup as the Bucs and High Desert Heat are also tied. They are tied at 2 apiece here in the bottom of the 6th inning. Josh Garcia still on the mound for the Heat. He has done a very, very good job for them so far. As we know, the Bucs can do a lot with the sticks, and he has held them in check here today. It'll be interesting to see how Sean Smith responds, the center fielder, who, as we mentioned on that triple, really pulled up lame and, basically hurt himself on that. But as we mentioned, the Heat only have 9 players here today, so he has to stay in. And you were wondering maybe if he would go to a different position, because now if you hit a ball out in the center field in the gap, that could be a lot of trouble for the Heat, depending on if he's fully recovered. But as we mentioned, when we saw him stretching down that third base line with the right fielder, Aguila, he was kind of laughing. So that's always a good sign as Gerardo Ramirez comes in for the first time today. Swings at the first pitch and lifts it foul and out of play directly behind home plate. So Gerardo Ramirez comes in for Jack Spahn. Spahn had a good day, actually. 2 singles and 2 at-bats and 1 run scored. So a very good day for him. Here's the pitch. Fastball misses low, and it's 1-1 to Gerardo Ramirez, 5'10", 210 pounds, from Diamond Bar High School. Here's the pitch. This one swung on and fouled out of play down the first base line, and it's 1-2. Well, we mentioned shade starting to come in the field. Pretty much all of right field and center field covered in shade, as well as the pitcher's mound now starting to get some shade. Check swing, and that will go foul from Ramirez. Oh, it's 2-2. Or it's 1-2 still, sorry. I mentioned that Ramirez really tore it up at Diamond Bar High School. Of course, Kevin Bowler, the manager, very familiar with him. He coached him at Diamond Bar. Here's the pitch. Fastball, swung on, high, towering fly ball to straight left field. Left fielder out there, Lanter, backs up initially and now comes in and makes the grab for the first out here in the 6th inning. Here comes Chavez. Chavez replacing Escobar in left field. Richie, 5'10", 165 pounds, will swing a left-handed bat for the Buccaneers. Here's the pitch. Swings at the first pitch. This is a fly ball to shallow left field, and that will get down for a base hit. So it gets heavy, kind of in that Bermuda Triangle zone, in the middle of the center fielder, the left fielder, and the shortstop. But there was really no play. It wasn't like the play earlier that hit off the glove of the third baseman, Chavez. That one was a hit the whole way as Kevin Riley steps up to the plate. So another new Buccaneer in. As we mentioned, Riley was in last inning. Made that last out of the last inning. This one is ball one, an off-speed pitch in the dirt. So it's 1-0 to Riley. One out here, bottom of the sixth inning. Man on first base, that is Chavez. Garcia comes set, checks the runner, now fires home. Swung on, line drive into left field, and over the glove of Chavez out there. Holding up at second is the other Chavez, Richie. And there's two men on base here for the Buccaneers. So just like that, fresh off the bench, Richie Chavez and Kevin Riley come in and get hits in their first at-bat, as time is now called for by the High Desert Heat. Let's see what the Coach Pete Kelly has to say. What kind of advice is he going to give him here to his pitcher? His pitcher Garcia, who has had a very good performance so far. Also out there is Cody Calvert to meet both of them at the mound. As Cortez, Diego Cortez, is now at bat for the Buccaneers. We'll talk to his manager, Kevin Bowler, about halfway in between the third base and home plate. Cortez, the leadoff hitter, 1 for 3 today, has a single and a stolen base back in the first inning. Also had a couple groundouts. This is a moment right here that the Buccaneers, they need to take advantage of if they want to win a few conference games. They've had their opportunities. They just couldn't cash in so far. As this one misses low for ball one, 1-0 the count. Here, with two men on board, we said that it was Chavez who came in for his first at-bat and had a single. And then Riley with the line drive to left field, also in his first at-bat. Here's the pitch to Cortez, and this one misses outside, and it's 2-0. If you remember, Cortez had the diving attempt in center field that ended up being a triple. But the runner didn't end up scoring. In fact, Cortez recorded the next couple outs, made a couple grabs out there. As this one is swung on and foul tipped, and it's 2-1 to number 2-1. On deck is Smith. Smith entered in the fifth inning and struck out. But Cortez remains at the plate here for the Buccaneers with two men on board in the bottom of the sixth inning. Here's the pitch. Swung on and fouled out of play down the third base line, and it's 2-2. So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out, 2-2 the score. Both teams getting the 2 spot in the same inning. It was the Bucs who scored first in the bottom of the second, and then it was the Heat who responded in the top of the third immediately with 2 of their own. Garcia comes set, fires, swung on and missed, strike 3, and that is something that has really plagued the Buccaneers, not just in this game but all season long. When you get some runners in scoring position, you have to be able to put the ball in play, and that is something they struggled with, as that is a strikeout in the second out of the inning, and Smith comes to the plate. Mentioned when he was on deck, Michael Smith is 0 for 1 on the day with a strikeout. Smith, the right-handed hitter, against the right-handed hurler, Josh Garcia. This one misses low, a breaking ball, and it's 1-0. On deck is Bryce Brooks. You're at the 2 spot right now in the lineup. So after this, you have the heart of the lineup to come for the Bucs. Nobody being held on the base pass. Here's the pitch. This one is an off-speed pitch in there for strike 1, and it's 1-1. Well, we mentioned that if this game doesn't go 9, it will be official, kind of like a rain game. Just at the end of that inning, whatever the score is, that will be the final. Here's the pitch. Swung and chopped foul. We're not saying that we officially know whether or not we won't get 9 in the books, but in the bottom of the 6th, that's 7:22. It's looking like it might not be possible, but we'll see. The other thing that's at play here is that it's still a 2-2 tie. So there's literally no way that you can possibly have this game end in a tie. So what would have to be done if that happened, as this fastball is thrown low for a ball, and we still have a lot of baseball to play before that is an actual scenario. But if that were to happen, you would have to assume that they would resume play at the beginning of the doubleheader in Victorville later on in the season. That actually happened last year in the SECBL. This pitch is chopped foul down the third base line. That happened last season between the Inland Valley Pirates and the Long Beach Legends. They couldn't finish a doubleheader in Long Beach, so they started in the, I believe, the 10th inning, finished that game, then did a doubleheader. So they had basically a triple header in one day. Here's the pitch. This one's swung and driven up the middle. Will it get through the infield? Yes, it does. Rounding third is Chavez, and he's going to come home to score, and the Bucs take a 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the sixth. So a big play right there by Michael Smith to have the go-ahead RBI single here in the sixth inning. We mentioned it was Richie Chavez scoring on the play, and it was Kevin Riley advancing in the second as Michael Smith is on first. So just like that, we were talking about potentially maybe having extra innings, and the Bucs say, hold on here. We're going to get a hit right here and take the lead. Now you got your number 3 hitter and Bryce Brooks up at the plate. Brooks singled in his last at-bat as this one is wide for ball 1. Snap throw down to first in time. The play is made. Call over there by the second base umpire. I was pretty surprised he was actually called out. I did not think he was out there, but what do I know? I'm not, a couple feet away like the second base umpire was. So that ends a rally, a potential 2-out rally there, as the Bucs scored 1 run in the inning, and they still had 2 men on base with your number 3 hitter. You did not want to see a base running error like that. So that's just really tough. But they do get 1 run, and they do take a 3-2 lead here at the end of 6 innings, and that is the most important thing. And the way Acosta's been pitching so far, you hope that maybe he can hold this lead for the rest of the game. Now we will go out to Palm Springs once again and check on that other SCCBL matchup between the Pirates and Power.
Madden will be given the opportunity to try and keep this inning alive here for Palm Springs. Madden did not play in yesterday's ball game. Batting .250 on the season. And he takes the first pitch and loops it into right field for a base hit. So the first base hit on either side, the Power will take it, as they have a runner at first and second with 2 down.
Quick rundown of this game. We're in the bottom of the second. 2 outs for the Power. Runners on first and second with Turner Klaus at the plate. No score here in Palm Springs.
Why, thank you for that update.
Even 300, does have 5 RBIs to his credit, and could get another one home here with Klein at second. Charlie Madden at first, not being held on. Here comes the pitch from Alvarez, down in the dirt, ball 1. Power were held scoreless in the first 2 innings of last night's ball game. That is until the third. The Pirates actually scoring first in that frame. The Power responding with 2 in the bottom half, and never.
And welcome back as we head to the top of the 7th. Nathaniel Acosta still on the mound as the first pitch is swung and fouled right back at the screen about 2 feet to the left of me by Johnny Lanter, who is 1-for-2 on the day. I hope you are enjoying our live listen-ins to the Palm Springs Power and Inland Valley Pirates games, as well as listening, obviously, to the main event here on InlandValleyBaseball.com, the Buccaneers versus the Heat. Here's the pitch from Acosta, the 0-1. This one's overthrown in the dirt, about a 58-footer, and it's 1-1. It's the top of the 7th inning, 3-2 the score. The Bucs did take a lead in the bottom of the 6th, and this one is swung on and missed. Strike 3, and that'll be the first out here in the inning. And Nathaniel Acosta has been having a great performance since entering in the 4th inning. He is not allowed a run so far, as the 2 runs scored by the Heat were both in the 3rd inning. It was the Bucs who actually struck first in the 2nd, so they grabbed that 2-0 lead, and then the Heat responded and made it 2-2 before the Bucs finally tacked on 1 in that last inning and made it 3-2. This one is swung on and fouled behind home plate, and it's 0-1 to Anthony Aguila. He has been having a tough day. He's 0-for-2 with 2 strikeouts for the Heat. as the sun looks like it's right in the eyes of the third baseman, and Gerardo Ramirez. This one is swung on and it's foul, but it will stay in the field of play, and Bryce Brooks will make the grab, now in at first base for that put out. He's kind of smiling over into the dugout. Not sure if he just made the decision to, no, he couldn't have possibly made that decision to just shift over to first. The reason he shifted to first, though, was because Gerardo Ramirez is now at third. He is covering his eyes as this one is chopped up the middle. Making a backhanded grab is Smith, and Smith makes a leaping throw, but not in time. It'll be an infield base hit for Josh Garcia, the pitcher, who's had a very good day, not just on the bump, but also at the dish. He walked and scored in the third and now has a single here in the seventh inning as Sean Smith comes to the plate. Smith, the leadoff hitter, 2 for 3, singled and scored back in the third and tripled back in the fifth inning. The Heat are hoping for another potential 2-out rally here like they had yesterday, and while the Bucs are hoping to, as this one misses low for ball 1-0 the count on a breaking ball. And while the Bucs are hoping to get out of this inning, swung on and missed, and it's 1-1. So it's 3-2 here in the top of the seventh inning at 7:30 Pacific time. So glad you could join us on InlandValleyBaseball.com for this league matchup as this breaking ball misses in the dirt. Nice job by Johnny Juarez to block that ball and to keep the runner on first base as it's 2-1 now. It'll be interesting to see what the Bucs do as well. Will they leave Acosta in for the rest of the game, or will they try to go to a reliever to finish this thing, as it's now 3-1? But the first thing the Bucs are going to have to do is try to make it out of this inning. Looked like it was going to be a maybe routine inning for Nathaniel Acosta initially, as this fastball swung, and this is a line drive in the center field, and Diego Cortez will see it drop in front of him for a base hit. Cortez thinking maybe that he wanted to try to make a diving backhanded grab like he tried earlier, but then earlier, of course, the ball rolled to the fence, so he thought better of it and pulled up and made the good decision to allow that to be a single, as there are now 2 runners on, and the pitching coach will come out to have a conference with Nathaniel Acosta and Johnny Juarez, the catcher, as Ronnie Leon is coming up to the plate. So, of course, it was actually on Sean Smith's hit in that last at-bat that he had that Diego Cortez tried making the diving catch, and this time he lets it fall to the ground. So Smith goes to 3 for 4 on the day with 2 singles, that triple, and a run scored, as he's having a little bit of a conversation with Bryce Brooks over at first base. The pitching coach, as well as the catcher Juarez, remain on the mound for Acosta, as Ronnie Leon also went for a little chat with his manager. That is Pete Kelly. So he said it was looking like it was going to be maybe an easy inning. You never want to say an easy inning, but a kind of straightforward inning when he struck out Johnny Lanter, and then Anthony Aguila hit out to the first baseman, Bryce Brooks, but then 2 consecutive base hits, as this is called a strike, and it's 0-1 to Leon. And now the Heat might have something going. Ronnie Leon, of course, the SCCBL All-Star last season with these High Desert Heat. Costa, the right-handed hurler, working on a stretch, fires. This one is chopped down the right side and straight at Bryce Brooks, who catches it on the one hop and stands on the bag. Ronnie Leon will throw his helmet in dejection as we head to the bottom of the seventh. 3-2 the score. Bucs on top of the Heat. It is time to stretch here, but we'll go back out to Palm Springs.
His first pitch that he receives fouled off out of play. It's 0-1. Olsen will rock, fire, deliver home. Took something off it. Varela bit the long throw over to first from the third baseman. Zimmerman is in time, and there's 2 down. So efficiency at its best here for Bill Olsen in every inning. 8 straight retired. Let's see if he could keep the streak going. Slight bat wave here for the lefty Morabito. He takes the off-speed pitch in there for a strike. It's 0-1. Wasting no time as Olsen will go right back to the pitch, and this one.
Well, it seems like we're having problems with our connection to the Palm Springs broadcast right now. It was Alec Morabito at the plate for the Inland Valley Pirates, but it looks like we are having problems with that broadcast. We'll try to get reconnected to them as soon as we can back in the next inning. Of course, here at Cal Poly Pomona, we have a great game as we are in the middle of the 7th inning. 3-2 the score. Buccaneers on top of the Heat as Josh Garcia's day is finally over. He went 6 strong innings for the High Desert Heat, and in to replace him is Matthias Leyva. Leyva, 5'10", 140, plays for Kansas Wesleyan University. Played on the Heat last season as well. It was really one of their workhorses last season. Pitched a lot of innings for them. So he must have come later in the game, because he was not in the initial 9-man lineup that they initially had, as we mentioned, as this one is a bouncer in the dirt, and it's 1-0 to Bryce Brooks. If you remember, Bryce Brooks was actually at bat in the last inning with 2 men on base, and the runner at first, Michael Smith, was caught off by the catcher, as this one misses, and it's 2-0. Here's the 2-0 offering. Fastball in the dirt, 3-0. Bryce Brooks really wanted to take advantage of that 2 men on, 2 out situation in the 6th inning. Was hoping to potentially get an RBI there. And that's a 4-pitch walk, and he's hustling to first base. He is checking to see if the catcher picks it up in time, as he was maybe considering trying to make it to second. Catcher Calvert muttering something to himself as he walks back to the batter's box. And here comes Johnny Juarez. So Johnny Juarez up for his second at-bat of the day. Struck out in his first back in the 5th inning. Came in that 5th inning as a defensive replacement for Michael Ortega. Fastball outside, ball 1, 1-0 the count. On deck is Campbell. Brandon Campbell singled in his only at-bat. Working out of the stretch is Leyva, taking some time, checking the runner at first, and now coming set. Firing home, squaring around, and laying it down the first base line is Johnny Juarez. So that'll be a sacrifice bunt laid down to perfection as Bryce Brooks is now at second base and in scoring position. And Cody Calvert will go out to the bump and have a little conference with his pitcher as Campbell comes to the plate. Brendan Campbell, we mentioned when he was on deck, he's 1 for 1 on the day. Brendan Campbell is another player from Citrus College. A lot of Owls on both this team and the Pirates as well. Played very well for them. Was an honorable mention all Foothill Conference selection, as this one is called a strike on the high end of the strike zone, and it's 0-1 to Campbell. Field is all in shade now here at 7:36. Here's the pitch. Swung on and missed, and it's 0-2. So Leyva gets ahead of the hitter Campbell. The first time we've seen baseball with the field entirely in shade here at Cal Poly Pomona. As we mentioned, the game started late, 48 minutes late to be exact, because the umpires were not here on time. Here's the pitch from Leyva, and this one misses low for a ball. 1-2 the count. Campbell is from nearby Arcadia, went to Arcadia High School. Was a first-team All-CIF selection for them, also an All-Area selection as well. This one is chopped to the third baseman. He makes the catch and fires over across the diamond for the out, does Chavez. And so that will be the second out recorded here in the inning for the High Desert Heat. Bucs clinging to that 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning, as Nathaniel Acosta has really been the story in terms of his arm, just doing a very good job pitching-wise, entering in the 4th, not allowing a run so far. Be interesting to see how far they go with him, as this is a brushback pitch to Tanner Thibodeau, and it's 1-0 to him. Thibodeau rehabbing, broke his arm. Here's the pitch. And this one misses for a ball, and it's 2-0. So I believe that's the reason why you just see him hitting, not really in the field as much so far this season at least. He's been a designated hitter every game that we've seen. Here's the pitch from Leyva. This one's swung on and line drive up the middle over to Ronnie Leon, who's deep in the hole and fires over to first for the out. So at the end of 7 innings, it remains 3-2. Buccaneers on top of the Heat. You're listening on InlandValleyBaseball.com. Let's get back out to Palm Springs if we can get that connection going. Let's see what's going on out there between the Pirates and, of course, the Power. We are trying to load that right now. See exactly what's going on out there. Nathaniel Acosta is coming back out on the mound, by the way, in case you were wondering, as he has really been a workhorse here for them in this inning. In this game. Looks like we are having problems with that stream over in Palm Springs, so we're going to play some music now and see if we can get it to load at some point. And welcome back to Scalinos Field on the campus of Cal Poly Pomona. So glad that you could join us wherever you may be as the first pitch is swung on and missed for strike one by Manny. Oh, actually, this is Leyva, who came in as the pitcher. So Leyva now in to hit for the first time. Very straight-up batting stance, and he swings at this one and foul tips it, and it's 0-2. Actually, that must have been Chavez. Chavez was actually listed as number 4 in the lineup. He was listed as number 4 in my roster, but that was Chavez the whole time, apparently. So Chavez was pitching in the last inning, as he is now at the plate, unless they had a switcheroo of the number 4. But Leyva was listed as number 4 in their roster that I was given. Here's the pitch from Acosta. The 2-strike pitch is swung, and it's a roller over to the second baseman who fires. That's Smith over to Bryce Brooks for the first out here in the 8th inning. So 4-3 on that put out, as Bucs are 5 outs away from clinching their first victory. Here comes Sergio Lujan, the large right-handed hitter, 0 for 1 on the day, struck out in the 6th inning by Acosta. Also walked back in the 2nd as well as the 3rd. Fastball swung on and missed, then it's 0-1. Acosta showing very good command here for the Inland Valley Buccaneers. Also has 5 strikeouts recorded so far. Foul tip, and it's 0-2. Lujan's been in some kind of mood today. He's just kind of laughing at that. I don't exactly know why. Maybe he was laughing because he thought it was a good pitch to hit, and he fouled it. Here's the 0-2 offering. Swung on and missed. Strike 3. So Acosta now with his 6th strikeout here for number 6, and that is the 2nd out here in the top of the 8th inning. Here comes Mitchell Booman, the shortstop. Booman is 0 for 3. Lined out to center field. Lined out to second, and that was actually a double play. Very nice play made over there by Suarez back in the 3rd inning. This one is chopped foul over towards the third base side, and the manager over there who salutes his dugout after he made what he thought was a very nice play, but I thought it looked pretty routine, bounced straight into his hands. And then in his last at-bat, Mitchell Booman flew out to center field. This one's swung on, and this one is driven into right field for a base hit. So the High Desert Heat get a runner on board here in the top of the 8th inning on that single that was lined out into right field. Up next is Cody Calvert, who still had all of his protective gear on as a catcher, and he's taking the leg gear off right now and rolling his pants over his tongues of his cleats as he comes up to the batter's box and has a present for the home plate umpire in the form of a baseball. 2 outs. Top of the 8th inning, 3-2 the score. Buccaneers on top of the Heat. Here's the pitch. This one's in the dirt for ball 1, 1-0. Juarez doing another good job of blocking the ball and making sure it didn't get to the backstop, allowing the runner to advance into scoring position. Costa working at a stretch, towing the rubber from that left side. Here's the pitch. Swung on and chopped to the right side over to the second baseman Smith. Smith fires the first, and that is the final out here in the 8th inning. And at the end of 7.5 innings of play, the Buccaneers are still on top 3-2 here at Cal Poly Pomona. And it looks like the game is being called due to darkness, actually. At 7:44, So it'll be an 8-inning game, not a 9-inning game. The manager of the Heat is frustrated. Oh, no, he's not frustrated. He's going to shake the hand of the umpires. So we will only play 8. Well, 7.5 to be exact. Obviously, you don't have to play the bottom of the 8th because the Buccaneers were on top. But what a wacky way to get your first win. You get your first win in 8 innings. And Nathaniel Acosta, you have to say, is the player of the day for the Inland Valley Buccaneers, just going 5 innings and, starting in the 4th, getting 6 strikeouts and getting the win as well, not allowing any runs, as we will have one player for the Heat shake the hands of the Buccaneers, as you normally see at the end of a series. Of course, this is just a 2-game set, and they will see each other again in Victorville. But the Buccaneers do get their first win, and that is very exciting for them. Well-played game for them both today and yesterday. Yesterday it was just that one error. If you don't have that one error, all 5 runs scored after that error, and all 5 runs scoring with 2 outs in the same inning after that one error. If you don't have that, this could be a 2-0 team in conference play, but of course it did happen, and so they're 1-1, and so now both teams are 1-1. The Inland Valley Buccaneers, as we mentioned, those 2 big hits, the 2-run double for Richie Chavez, and the go-ahead and game-winning RBI single by Michael Smith. And so the Buccaneers are 1-1 in league play and 1-5 overall, while the Heat fall to 1-1. And thank you so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast on InlandValleyBaseball.com, and we'll see you next time.